We at Time Shifters hope that you enjoyed this rare and infamous moment that combines a first-rate disaster with genuine historical significance. But now it's time to take a deep breath as we prepare to temporarily reset you. Get your cars to Mars.
Hey there, this is Christopher, and I'd like to welcome you to the Time Shifters podcast. On this show, Tom and I dive into movies and TV, mostly in the sci-fi, fantasy, and horror genres, and share our thoughts, reviews, and we'll definitely go on a few tangents or two. So let's get things started. Tom, how have you been?
Not too bad. It's been very, very busy lately.
Yeah, well, I imagine the start of the school year, as people have heard from past episodes, you are involved in the higher learning industry.
Yes, so between the start of my university and then, of course, the return of my son to high school, it's keeping things pretty busy.
You definitely have the double whammy there. You got it on both sides.
Yep.
Excellent. You want to talk about anything we've been watching or doing? Or I've got a fun question. Do you want to do that first, or do you want to do that?
Oh, you have me curious since before we started the show. So,
all right, cool.
What is your question?
I thought of this the other week, and I think I know the answer, but I'm curious to see if I'm right.
Okay.
So here's a would you rather question.
Okay.
Would you rather never be able to catch the first 5 to 10 minutes of a film,
okay,
or never be able to watch the final episode of a series?
Gonna go with the final episode of a series.
I had a feeling that's what you'd say.
The reason I hesitate when I say that is one of the things I'm notorious for, I think I may have even discussed this with you before, is when either I know something I enjoy is either, like, we all know that right now the distance between a season of something and the next season of that can be so long in between, sometimes year or more in some cases, that I try to savor it so much that I will drag out watching it. And if a series that I enjoyed is ending, I really kind of drag that out because I still want that anticipation. And to this day, one of the things I hate the most, and I can go back and fix this now, thanks to the world of streaming, but at the time it wasn't as prevalent, the show Psych. I really enjoyed the show Psych. It was goofy, it was fun, the dynamic was great. And as I knew everything was coming to an end, I kept slowing down how much I would catch up to the point. And this was the DVR days of doing things, that I got to the point I never got to the season finale of it. And then I lost. Then I had to get rid of the DVR, and I never got to see it. And to this day, I still have not seen the series finale of that, knowing full well that they did some follow-up movies after that. And I've seen those. I still haven't seen the series finale. And to this day, I regret that totally. So.
In your heart, Psych lives on.
Exactly. It can't ever end because I never saw the ending. So... But yes, I do that. But yeah, lose the first few minutes of something. Yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer.
That's actually where I actually fall. I would rather miss the first 5-10 minutes of every film. I want to see that finale. That would really annoy me if I couldn't see the series finale.
Oh yeah, no, and in this case, that still lives in my head. That's why I'm talking about it like this. And like, oh crap, I need to get back to that at some point because I do want to see where they finally decided to end the series. So, but yes, no, there's no way. I can usually catch up, and a lot of times the opening of something, it's just some setup. You can usually catch up pretty easy.
Would that make a difference if the time scale was a little more? What if it was 30 minutes? You'd never catch the first 30 minutes of a film versus never being able to see the final episode of a series. Would that change your thought?
Depends on what film we're talking about. Yeah, if you never got the full setup, the legitimate setup, and you're just coming in basically in the middle, that might bug me, but it would bug me more to not get the wrap-up of a series finale. And I'm saying that knowing full well that there are more than a few series that have just tanked it at the end.
Yeah, but let's not talk about Heroes.
Heroes, Enterprise, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got... the list goes on.
For the longest time, I'd be willing to argue Enterprise, but the more I think about it, the farther away I get from it, the more I understand the aggravation of that final episode.
Yeah, that one hits for me only because it's not an Enterprise episode. It's a Next Gen episode that just happens to kill off Enterprise. Like the story that's told through the holodeck is something I wanted to see. I didn't need the Next Gen as part of it.
Right.
So it takes a little something away. It's kind of like, I get what they're trying to do, but I don't think they pulled it off. It took something away from it.
Yeah, I feel like they could have told that same story without having the Next Generation.
Not to mention, if you wanted to do something like that, this is when you bring in... Like, Star Trek goes on, and we all hope in one way, shape, or form it continues to go on, and hopefully with good less than bad. But if you wanted to do something like that and have fun with it, if you dovetail it close enough, you could have a different series where you do something like that and then bring that into your series, not the other way round. So...
Yeah.
That's just kind of where I sit with that one. But yeah, that's why that's a standout for me.
Speaking of Star Trek, sort of, I've decided to, only because I've realized, and it kind of tied into the question a little bit, I never got around to the third season of The Orville.
Yes, and I haven't yet either.
Okay, yeah, well, I finally I'm looking like I might have the opportunity to finally see that third season, but to do so, of course, you want to watch the first two seasons again. And so my wife and I are actually now watching them, and we are like 2 episodes into the second season and everything. That is such an underrated and enjoyable show.
It really is. It's one of those, I think it like many shows, it gets better the deeper you get in. Like, second season was actually really, really good. And it's where it actually started to kind of take itself a little more seriously. The first season was all about, can we tell a goofy, off-color version of Star Trek? Can we make it comedic? And to a point, it was almost a little too crude.
Yeah. It was the Next Generation with fart jokes.
Yeah. And when they matured it a little bit more, leave room for what Star Trek does, both for good or bad. Everybody is way more mature all the time, to the point where sometimes it seems like you guys are fuddy-duddies. So,
yeah, you don't seem to have a sense of humor at all.
Yeah, and that's why I always appreciate the episodes where they let them be human beings still. Those are usually my more favorite episodes. By the time you get to the second season, it starts to get more of that blend. Yeah, there are people that like to relax, have fun, do silly things, make jokes and all that, but they can't take their life and their roles seriously. That's when it started to find that balance, and since I haven't got the third season, I'd like to think it continued that.
Yeah, I hope so. I am looking forward to finally getting into that and seeing it, because a little bit like what I was saying with the Would You Rather, never being able to see the final episode of a series. The fact that I haven't seen this entire season of a show that I really enjoyed has been annoying me for years.
Oh, and this sits into that spot where I can savor it. I know I have access to it. It's not necessarily going anywhere, except that Disney and its relationship with Hulu is going to get a little weird over the next year as they remove that as a brand. But as long as they don't lose the content, I should still have access. So I'm still in the savor mode. But
all right, very
I do
cool.
need to get back to it before somebody ruins that.
I was kind of waiting for a DVD release of that third season,
Right.
and it never came.
Right.
The first 2 seasons,
Yeah. But
they exist.
And honestly, I'm not aware of news around it or fate of it. I know it was years between the second and third season. And the third season's been out for years at this stage. I have no idea whether they have any intention of revisiting this at all.
There is always the question and rumors surrounding it.
Sure.
It's one of those things where, like, Scott Grimes will say something, but Seth MacFarlane won't confirm it, or Seth MacFarlane will say something in an interview, but no one else knows anything about it.
Right.
Or, so yeah, it's just constantly, who knows?
Yeah, it's a big question mark, and until you hear, hey, it's in production, there's no... It's just a question.
Yeah, until people are actually on set in front of the camera, I'm going to assume it's not happening.
Right. Right. And that all the more reason why I'm kind of letting it linger, because at least it's still there. I still have something. It'll still be new.
Yeah, no spoilers, folks, but I'm hoping third season doesn't end on a cliffhanger like second season did.
This will be the one and only time that we tell you, don't write us about this.
No, yeah, I don't want to know.
Yeah, no. Leave us in our Schrodinger cat scenario where it's both alive and dead.
Yeah, and because I've been in that position, I've watched a series that I've enjoying. Maybe it's not great, but it's good. It it interests me.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to that final episode of the season, and it's definitely like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a second season. Look at this fantastic cliffhanger. This looks like trouble. Canceled. What?
Since my son is such a fan of Big Bang Theory, that's one of the giant hang-ups for one of the characters in there, is he absolutely abhors lack of closure on things. To the point, it was mentioned, oh God, I don't even remember the show. It was something on Sci-Fi Channel that it ended on a cliffhanger, and he went it was called Alphas. Now, I never watched Alphas. But
it was, it's kind of like the Asylum's version of the X-Men.
Oh, okay. Well, at any rate, I understand it did get canceled on a cliffhanger, and the rest of that episode was how it was driving him absolutely bat-crap crazy because he couldn't get an answer, and they were trying to address that with him psychologically. Till we end the episode with him actually dialing up the writer of the show just to ask him, so how are you going to end that? And you just hear him on the phone going, and then he goes, well, that all sounded awful, and then hangs up.
I know exactly, I think, how he feels.
Yep.
Another Sci-Fi Channel show, Dark Matter.
Oh, yeah.
Was one that it ran for a season or two, and it was actually, to me anyway, starting to get really interesting. Mm-hmm. And it ends with the suggestion that there is like some alien invasion that's about to take place, and that's the end of the show.
Yeah, just when they have an opportunity to really make it interesting, this is where we're going to pull the rug out from under you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's funny when I just literally do it to myself when I leave it in this quasi state.
Yeah, nope. I kind of can see your point. It's just when you're watching the show and you don't know that that's gonna be the end of it.
I live in a state of hope. It's awesome until it's not.
I did do it to myself with. Do you remember the show Defying Gravity?
I vaguely recall the name. I don't remember anything about it.
All right. It was a series of, and I knew that it only ran the one season.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it wasn't going to get renewed or anything like that. But I decided, I remember watching the first few episodes and kind of digging it. So I did go and watch that entire season. And then in the end go, but I want more.
You can't have more.
Yeah.
No, yeah. You bring up an interesting question, but I don't think we'll ever really know
Nope.
just how we should feel about all of this.
Yeah. Long story short, folks, I would like to hear your answers to the question. So, and whether there's any caveats, does the amount of time that you missed the beginning of the film affect your answer? Is it a series that you really enjoyed that you never got to see that final episode? Or was it a series that you were kind of hate watching? Mm-hmm. And will it matter that you don't see that final episode?
And again, we don't want the answer to whether or not season 3 of Orville ends in that cliffhanger.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're talking about the Orville, and then I don't want to hear about it. give me another month maybe, and then we'll talk.
We're just begging for tons of people. Our ones of listeners will embark on a quest to destroy us for the Orville.
This will be the one episode we finally get a ton of feedback on.
Yep. Maybe we'll go viral off of this.
Have you been up to anything in between your busy life and being able to do anything fun or...
Yeah, since my little vacation and the stuff that I watched from the last time we had a conversation, it kind of dried up there for a while. So other than some of our fun for an impending podcast we might be featured on, and this, and just making it through my day, not too much else. How about you?
Yeah, no, the Orville's definitely taken up some time. I'm all caught up at recording. I'm all caught up with Strange New Worlds.
As am I.
We talked briefly before we began recording, and we're split on the enjoyment of some episodes.
Yep. A little bit, but that's part of the fun, and we won't get into that too much because if we do, we'll run this show out really long, and we'll spoil the hell out of anything that you guys might not have seen yet.
Exactly. I did get a chance to guest on Monster Kid Radio.
Oh, yeah?
To discuss Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow, which is, I may have mentioned on the show before or not, but it is a movie from 1959, I believe, and I have watched it about 5 or 6 times since I stumbled on this thing. I just absolutely adore this film, and it was so fun to actually finally get a chance to talk about it with someone else who enjoys it and likes that movie.
That is a peculiar choice. I can't say I've even had the pleasure, so...
It's insane. It's a weird mess of a movie, but I just find it so much fun and just so endearing.
Well, good. Yeah. Because I don't have anything to say about that.
Yep, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah, but other than that, no, I haven't been up to a whole heck of a lot else.
No, the only thing I can think of otherwise is a number of us got to go see the newer Fantastic Four film.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I have not been to Superman or Fantastic Four, and it's kind of driving me nuts.
I won't ruin anything, obviously. I'm not going to go over that. But Fantastic Four could probably be a pass.
Really? Still, they haven't found the right ingredients, huh?
The very 60s kind of vibe was cool. Story wasn't terrible, but this cast, I don't know, because they're trying to do the 60s family kind of vibe too. There wasn't a lot of inner turmoil of any kind, so there's not a lot of angst, so they kind of come off bland.
But it's Pedro Pascal.
Here's the thing. I do like Pedro Pascal, but because he has a demeanor that he brings to pretty much all characters, unless you need him completely unhinged, and he can do unhinged pretty good, but if you just need a steady guy, it comes off kind of monotone and devoid of emotion. And since he's playing Mr. Fantastic, who is supposed to be the smartest man on Earth, of course, in Marvel, that what does that mean when you're in the world where there's a Peter Parker, a Tony Stark, a Victor Von Doom? Yeah.
Yeah.
You have lots of insanely smart people. Bruce Banner. There's always somebody in a clutch that's going to know as much as you, I guess. But when he's like that, he has to play it very stark, very dry. And that's very much like you get out of his Mandalorian character, which is very much like you get out of anything else. And so, like, when you want some emotion, it's not there. And then you usually kind of want more of a play between the Johnny Storm character and the Thing, Ben Grimm. And they were a little too... Like, yeah, they're all supposed to be kind of a family, but they were a little too much the warm, cuddly family instead of the angsty, aggravating each other kind of family, which is kind of the fun part with the Thing and the Human Torch, is you kind of want them playing off of each other and antagonizing one another, and that just kind of didn't happen.
All right, interesting. So it sounds like you're just adding evidence to the fact that the 1994 Roger Corman Fantastic Four is still the best Fantastic Four movie that has been made.
Likely. Very, very likely. Yeah, no. I mean, but the effects, the look, the feel. The one thing I will give you, which was a fantastic nod, and I had to ask around, is the rocket that you can see in the preview. It's not. I'm not spoiling anything, but it's called Excelsior.
Oh, nice!
And
that's very cool.
That's a cute touch. I like that.
Nice nod to Stan Lee.
Yes,
very cool.
That was amazing. And they do this really amazing montage because the film, the way that it works, which I do like that in some of the comic book movies now, they're going ahead and going, we don't have to tell your origin story every single time.
Yes, thank you.
They find a way to kind of give it to you, but it's super brief because when we meet the Fantastic Four, they're 4 years into being the Fantastic Four. So that's cool, and so you're getting kind of this. It's an anniversary. They're going. They literally have a '60s style TV talk show where they're going to celebrate the Fantastic Four, and then you get to kind of run through very quickly.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, 4 years ago, this family went to the space.
Yes,
kind of
exactly. Yeah, they do that whole vibe, but then as they go through some of the early adventures of being superheroes, most of them are flashes of them doing the deed, but they're the covers from the comic books.
Yeah, nice. I've seen that in, I don't know if I'm guessing it's in the film. I've seen it used as part of a commercial where they're fighting some beast that's coming up out of the road.
Yes,
and
that's
right
the classic.
out of the comic.
That's the first issue of Fantastic
Yes.
Four. That's in there, but you get a couple of more glimpses from other significant covers through that. It's fun, and they even touch on the he's actually a character in the film as the Mole Man, which is one of their bad guys.
Right.
And then I love that people have made the obviously the Incredibles is essentially a nod to the Fantastic Four. Right down the line, all of the characters in Incredibles are characters that you could have taken right out of Fantastic Four. So
Oh yeah, they just did kind of gender swap on a couple superpowers.
They did stuff like that. Their mole man is called the Underminer, stuff like that. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's just Incredibles did it better.
yeah. So yeah, The Incredibles so far is the best Fantastic Four film.
That's exactly it. That's 1,000% what that is. Yeah, no, this was fun. It was pretty to look at. It's the best version of Galactus you'll ever get on a screen. But other than that, it's just kind of like, okay.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I will definitely check it out because it is Fantastic Four, and I've always had a soft spot for some reason for the Fantastic Four, probably because it's just one of the earliest memories of like Saturday morning cartoon sort of thing.
Oh yeah, and then you get lots of nods. In fact, they acknowledge they had their own cartoon in their own universe.
Nice.
So
all right,
you get that.
Yeah, no, let's not talk anymore.
No. But I mean, nothing that you don't see in the previews, like Herbie. Herbie's in there, and he looks like Herbie, and the reel-to-reel eyes are just kind of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all cool. It's cool to look at. Just, you're going to walk away and go, that could have been better.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'm still looking forward to it. We'll see.
Yep.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll play a promo for another podcast, and when we get back, we are going to travel to 1965 to meet the Wizard of Mars.
Has been around since the late 1800s, and the first multi-reel motion picture debuted in 1906. Since that time, millions of movies have been made, and unfortunately, just as many have been lost. Many of the surviving early films are in what's called the public domain, meaning their copyrights have expired due to time, neglect, and on a rare occasion, error. On Orphaned Entertainment, Christopher and Lydia review and discuss these public domain works to do their small part in bringing awareness to these nearly forgotten films. Join them as they discover the foundations of modern cinema. Visit orphanedentertainment.com to learn more, or find the show wherever you listen to podcasts.
All right. This Cure for Insomnia was written and directed by David L. Hewitt and loosely based on the Frank L. Baum novel The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. It was produced by some investors that Hewlett met that owned a vending machine company. He convinced them that science fiction had potential to make them some money, and American General Pictures was born. This is their first, and amazingly not their last, picture. The film stars Roger Gentry, Vic McGee, Jerry Rennell, Eve Barnett, and John Carradine. The film was also known as The Horrors of the Red Planet, as it was retitled on VHS in the late 80s. These later 80s releases often credited Lon Chaney Jr. as the top-billed star, although he does not appear in this film. He does appear in another Hewlett film, Dr. Terror's Gallery of Horrors, which also starred Carradine, Gentry, and McGee. The year is 1975, and the crew of Mars Probe 1 is heading to the Red Planet to do an orbital survey. The ship encounters a strange force that forces them to jettison the main stage of the ship and crash land on the planet. Receiving what they think is a signal from the other half of their ship, a section that actually contains the food and oxygen they will need to survive, as well as the means to signal Earth for a rescue, the crew most likely silently ponder the intelligence of their ship's designers. They set off using inflatable rafts that were deemed important enough to include in the cargo of the crew section to navigate a canal towards the signal. Along the way, they encounter life on Mars in the form of strange water worms, which they immediately shoot. And they explore some caverns deep beneath the surface. Eventually finding the source of the signal to not be their ship, but a previously sent probe, their future seems bleak. Luckily, after a crew member takes his frustrations out on the probe with a rifle, they discover that the probe has oxygen tanks that they can use to refill their own. Good thing a near endless supply of ammunition was included in the survival gear. The next morning, after a sandstorm blows through, they discover it partially uncovered a golden roadway. Following it, better than I could this movie, they find the remains of a civilization. Exploring the ruins, they run into a mysterious entity in the shape of John Carradine's head, floating in front of an ever-changing screensaver of space-themed images. In a monologue that lasts far more than my patience, we learn that the Martian civilization once explored the galaxy, but they returned to Mars to have a bit of a lie-down and a rest. They took their city out of time and into an eternal present. Eventually, they realized they had more work to do, but now being non-corporeal, they could not reverse the process. After convincing John Carradine's head that they are peaceful, despite the poisoning of the planet with lead shots, the head asks them to help fix the mechanism that will set them free. The crew do, and the city begins to crumble. They escape to the surface and collapse unconscious, only to awaken back on board their orbiting ship, dirty and exhausted, but only a mere 2 minutes past their communication with Earth. The end.
Thank you and good night.
Yep, that's going to do it for this episode of the Time Shifters Podcast. I think you catch my...
If you missed it, folks, Chris is totally burying the lead. This is his new favorite film.
It is actually, at times, really annoying because there is some dialogue and themes within the film that I think, all right, that's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, but then that they come in short bursts and far apart.
Yes. And I love that you... I was going to pick on it myself, but you so gracefully took care of it with the fact that our one friend, Charlie, on the mission, wants to shoot everything all the time. To the point where even in the most dangerous situation where they need to get the hell out, someone had to actually yell at him to leave the gun behind. It's not important. Let it go. But yes, those worms that were just kind of crawling into the boat, not doing anything, and they are just wailing on them with bullets. I'm like, it didn't do anything to you.
Right. Yeah. It was literally like, hey, what's this? Something new? I'm just kind of sliding around over here. And ow, what the hell, dude?
It had leaves for appendages. Like, relax. Like, I always love, and I realize it's part of the era and all that, but I always love the scientific missions that always have to result in shooting everything that moves. I even, to that point, as you pointed out, he's lead happy, but seriously, even when they get to the city thing and they encounter an alien in a tube, it's an alien in a tube. It's not doing anything but being there, and Charlie wants to shoot at that too. They're like, can you actually wait for some danger? Like, you shot at everything. You shot at a probe that was just sitting there because you're mad. They're like, giving me lots of vibes for gun control. Like, clearly you need to go through a psychological evaluation.
There is monologue, voiceover, I should say, in this film that often contains some of the, darker, like, okay, you're actually thinking about this. Mm-hmm. They're talking about, their dwindling oxygen supply, and they've now used 3/4 of it. And as we start our final day on Mars, we realize it may be our final day. I'm like, whoa, that's good dialogue, especially for this film anyway. Maybe it just impressed me a lot because it was in the middle of this film. But there was moments where, like, some of the dialogue is like, that's pretty powerful stuff. That's really interesting.
No, some of that was solid, and given the limited, I mean, we're still doing canals on Mars. We don't know that much.
Why are we? It's 1965.
I suppose, but I mean, it's in the vernacular of Mars, and we haven't sent anything significant enough yet to get more detail. So I get it. I can let that go. I actually have to applaud the notion that we didn't instantly come up with some other MacGuffin for them to breathe right away.
They did and they didn't. They had to use the oxygen in their suits, but they did come up with well, there is oxygen in Mars. It's just really thin. So if we use the oxygen in our suit and open our helmets...
Which, yeah, that part didn't make any sense, but they were at least trying to give some sense that, we still have to breathe and we're not going to be able to do everything here. With their limited knowledge, they at least tried to build on that. So that's more than some. Usually people show up on Mars and we're in a good spot here. We can breathe just fine. And we've done that with more modern stuff too. So the fact that they actually put a little thought into that was at least hopeful.
Yeah, no, that is true.
Now, I also know our sets for the spacecraft were limited. We really only saw the cockpit area, but I always love the old school environments where everybody looks like they're more or less in office chairs hanging out on the ship, and it's just normal day. We don't need to have suits on in the event of a breach of any kind. We don't have to plan for any of this. It's all good all the time.
The film, they realize they're going to crash. Mm-hmm. And so they're all like, quick, we have to go get into our environment suits because the ship could crack like an egg when it hits the ground. And so they all leave their stations and run into the back room. And then apparently the ship crashes because the next thing, everyone's standing around in their spacesuits and they're on Mars. The ship is apparently on Mars. Okay, well, that was a pretty gentle crash, I guess.
We didn't have the budget for that, so...
We barely had a budget for a spaceship. Our spaceship was literally, it looked like it was printed on Xerox and then cut out.
Right, yes.
And then just held in front of the camera.
Yeah, at no point did you get a whole lot of perspective shots. It was either straight on or straight back. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. So, it was always flat, yes.
Yeah, so, the special... not a whole lot of money went into special effects for this one.
No. But, like you said, you get into some decent dialogue here and there, and then they throw it all away seconds later.
Right. Or even just the idea that they think they're going to find their salvation over this next ridge, and they get there, and it looks like, we're screwed. Yeah. And it drives someone almost to the brink of madness right there, where, Charlie, of course, unfortunately, is the one carrying the gun. And starts shooting at this probe, which in the end actually saves them because they realize, you hit a fuel line. It still has liquid oxygen. We can use that to refill our air canisters. That scene also, we have to make sure we have to try to seal it off. The whole time they're talking, you hear the and it's like 5 minutes of them talking with this stupid canister hissing, and then finally, there, that's got it. I'm like, no, you're empty.
Yeah, no, I found myself kind of laughing through that scene too, because it's not just that it's hissing the entire time, it's the casual banter. While you're bleeding off the one thing that will give you one more day on the planet. Like, you're not having a whole sense of urgency here at the moment.
I was beginning to wonder, is that sound effect? Is that wind? Is that static? What? And then it finally, got it. I'm like, Oh,
Yeah, the canister.
that was actually the oxygen.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. It's like leaking for a solid 5 minutes. So he didn't shut it off. It emptied.
I guess there's another canister in there too. I don't know.
I don't know, and I don't know why that wasn't the stage that somebody takes the gun away from Charlie. Yeah. Like, dude, you're done. This is not. You're not responsible for this anymore.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Let's just leave the rifle here. You're good.
You're responsible for wearing your hair helmet and leaving it at that.
Maybe we can get the rifle back. If we come back this way, we can pick up the rifle and you can shoot at some more water worms.
And then, since we're at that scene, we know that this is supposed to be a Martian version of The Wizard of Oz. And I guess you're supposed to liken the crash to the whole tornado taking the house to Oz kind of thing. But we give up on the premise all the way up into, I don't know, maybe the water worms are supposed to be the munchkins. But we shot at them. But after you get to all of this stage, we don't get anything until we get the golden tiles laying in the desert. And this is our yellow brick road.
Honestly, I don't know if it's something that someone decided after the fact that it was based loosely on Wizard of Oz, or
if it was intentional.
Why was it called? Yeah, or was it intentional? I guess I'm assuming the original title was Wizard of Mars. Why in the hell would you even go that route? Why couldn't you have just had this looks like a constructed road. There must be civilization here. It doesn't have to be yellow bricked. It doesn't.
But if you don't keep up with the Wizard of Oz thing, how are you going to get to the John Carradine head floating around?
You know what? I think I could probably disassociate the two pretty easily there.
No. It's 1965. You cannot. And how about kudos to them? They think we were getting to that level of space travel in 10 years.
Yeah, do you like that?
Yeah. Got a big kick. I know we were in the space race at that time, but we hadn't gotten to the moon yet. And we're already casually flying to Mars in 10 more years. Nice. I appreciate the optimism.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The optimism of the 1950s and in this case, 1965 is always so heartening.
You think?
Oh, you had such high hopes for us.
Yes, you did. While still living in a very archaic mindset. Although we're back, so what the hell?
I actually have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that this is 1965. It feels like a 1955 movie.
It really, really does, yes.
This feels like it's in the same vein as Rocket Ship XM I can't think of, they've all just left my head. All those like 1950s send a rocket to somebody to some planet somewhere films.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It was from a different time, and they just waited to 1965 to make it.
Yeah, I wonder if he had this written like a decade and a half ago, and he finally found an investor.
This was his final draft leaving high school. What else you want to talk about this thing?
Yeah. I can live with them kind of plodding through Mars, going through the desert, going through the cave. It's like, this is slow, and it's maddeningly slow. But none of it prepares you for the 10-minute monologue of John Carradine's floating head.
Well, to be fair, he's given top billing, and in this particular case, because he just rattles all of that off, he may have talked more than all the other characters.
The idea, the story that he tells, it's kind of like, well, I want to watch that movie.
Kind of, yeah.
He tells about the Martian civilization and how they grew, and then they expanded and explored the galaxy and all these incredible advancements. And then they finally, and then for some reason they decided, we've gone too far. We need to come back home and think about what we want to do next. Like, that's a novel in itself, that idea.
And that's what was really depressing about this film is, yes, while the diatribe was too much, the premise was incredibly interesting. And I want to give it full credit for the fact this was an intelligent and benevolent race. They weren't looking. This wasn't the slithering, slimy beasts growling at people looking to devour you, alien. These were an intelligent race that took their concept too far, and they don't even wish harm on these infant race that's sitting in front of them at the moment. They're just like, we don't know that you can be helpful, and in that case, you're stuck here too now. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to put it that way, which then is the letdown when you get to the resolution.
Yeah. Well, before we actually get to that,
yeah.
I mean, the idea, the Martian civilization, they grew so far, mm-hmm. they got to the point where it's like, oh, we made a mistake, mm-hmm. and we can't fix it.
Yep.
I love that. That, again, like you were saying, it's a very intelligent, very well thought out idea.
Yeah.
There's a mechanism that has kept their city in this state of now, out of time or whatever, and we need you to prepare. Well, what does it look like? Oh, you'll see it because it's a device that everyone recognizes as a device of telling time. It's a pendulum. You could have just said a pendulum. What's with the puzzle?
Right. Well,
what's with the vague?
And again, this is low budget and all that, but I mean, there was no mystery to solve here. He could have said, "Can you guys go down the hall and see that stick and put it back, make it move?"
Yeah.
Because we don't have a corporeal form anymore, and we can't do it anymore. If you do that, we're all out of here.
This movie did not need padding.
No, it did not.
This is when he starts saying that, he gives them these vague puzzles about what they'll need to do to solve this problem. It's like, this is the pillow top of a mattress. We don't need this.
We don't, and if anything, it would have been... You've set up this race that has gotten into its own circumstance by its own level of intelligence. They've pushed essentially an experiment too far that it isn't... The key to the lock is just out of reach. Here comes the monkey that could bring you the key to unlock the door. Just tell the damn monkey to go unlock the door. Like, they're right there. They have hands. They have arms. You're talking to them. They understand you. You understand them. Just tell them what to do.
They throw in even a little bit more sort of confusion, the fact that apparently others have visited the planet and they managed to figure out a way to destroy them because they came to plunder and not to explore and help.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess they had traps set up for anyone who...
Well, yeah, because, I mean, the first inkling that there was something more intelligent than a cuddly water vegetable worm, is that you see charred remains on a ground that happen to be in the shape of a humanoid. And then something that looks like a blowtorch. And of course, because it was destructive and looked like a gun, Charlie was all about it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a little unclear on how these were trapped and this was done, or if you really wanted out of your own thing, why not just trick your looters into letting you out?
Yeah, you stick that ball in the hole up there, and we'll give you riches beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah, and then you zap your entire city to somewhere else and leave them in the dust. There you go. And the movie could just never bothered to happen then.
Right.
And can we?
And we'd all be better for it.
We'd all be. Indeed. So, such a waste of a premise. In such of a piece of junk film.
I can see how he was able to get this made, because on paper, the elevator pitch of this film is incredible.
Oh, sure.
You could sell me the idea of this film. Execution, however, definitely leaves a little bit to be desired.
They left off the elevator pitch that we're just going to walk a lot and whine and shoot things.
Yes, yeah. And all these really great ideas, we're just going to talk about them, not going to show them.
Right. Yeah, no, and we're not going to have any. And I did catch this out of just some notes from some other people, because when we get to it, there are no professional reviews for this, so we won't be doing that this time. But reading through just kind of commentary that people have made, one of the things they did point out, and I'll take the opportunity here, we did have a female astronaut, part of the crew, whose job was not to fall in love with anybody or scream at bloody murder every time something jumped out.
Yes.
That was way more mature than we mostly got out of that era. So,
no, fair enough. But for some reason, sounded like she'd been dubbed.
I don't know if that has anything to do with just the quality of the film overall or not, but
possibly. But it just added to the fact that it added to this sense of, I'm double checking my notes and looking on IMDb and online, and I'm like, this is a U.S. production, right?
Yeah.
Why do I feel like something's been lost in translation?
I think we could squarely put that in writing and direction.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I want to at least give it nods for what it had potential and where it got some stuff right, but it's not enough to make this a good film.
No, unfortunately not. It's great ideas, great premises, and flashes of good dialogue.
And why I think you can still hang your hat on the idea that they were trying to kind of parallel a Wizard of Oz is even with the ultimate ending where they just wake up on the ship and all is right with the world except for something's off. So
right, yeah, they've obviously experienced something, because their clothes are tattered, their faces are covered in dirt, but they have only apparently been out of communication for a few minutes.
Right, yeah, and it's clear despite having looked like it, the ship, everything's fine. Literally, the Martians dialed time backward for them and left them in a good state.
And you were there? And you were there?
Yes, exactly, so that you could get that moment. Mm-hmm. And mercifully, that's the end of the film.
Yes, thankfully there was no closing epilogue.
Yeah, no.
It did give me a case of deja vu of like Monster A Go-Go. You go through the entire film and there really wasn't a monster.
No,
what?
no.
What? Boo!
What do you mean that entire season of Dallas was just a dream?
Right. Yeah. They all wake up on their ship and Patrick Duffy steps out of the airlock.
Out of the sonic shower. But yeah, it had all those vibes. Yeah,
It's a frustrating movie.
it is
That's
a
what
very
it is.
frustrating movie because it's hard to watch, and when you get those little flashes of hope, just to be completely let down the next second is just maddening. So much hope with no payoff whatsoever.
We got one brief message on the social media when I posted that we'd be watching this. Rich Chamberlain from the Classic Horrors Club says he actually saw this a few weeks ago as it was on the Monster Channel during a random surfing of the streaming apps. Not the worst movie I've seen, but it's a little rough. Keep your logic at the door for this one. I will agree with the latter. I'll disagree somewhat with the former.
Yeah.
It's if it's not the worst movie you've seen, that's probably actually fair. It is not the worst movie I've seen, but it is. It's up there.
We have seen. Hey, here's a positive. It's an hour and 18 minutes long.
Yeah,
It feels like it's 3
short.
hours, but much like the Martians dialed them back in time, by the time you're done, you realize you still have more day left in your day.
Yeah, time will stop while watching The Wizard of Mars. All right, well, since we don't have any legitimate reviews or anything, and I think we've said all we can say with this one, we will put an end to this. And next time, we are going to probably not watch anything any better.
No. Not when there's a Mars, New York.
But we are going to check out 2015's Martian Land.
Okay. He has the stamp of goodness because I believe it's an asylum film.
We shall see.
Let's kick our heels together with our ruby slippers.
All right, well, that is going to do it. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Time Shifters podcast. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode, whether it's feedback, questions, or anything you want to add to our discussion. You can reach out via email or drop a comment on any of the social media posts. Just follow the link in the show notes or head to timeshifterspodcast.com to find out where all those are.
If Martians have frozen a moment in time for you, please consider leaving a rating or review. It really helps more people discover the show, and who knows, they might become listeners too, or shoot at us.
If you're feeling extra generous, instead of with your bullets, with your cash, you can toss a little bit our way at Ko-fi.com/TSPOE podcasts. Every bit goes towards web hosting and production costs. This show will always be free, but any help you can give is truly appreciated.
Or if you'd like to gather something cool for your support, I don't know, picture David Carradine. Or is it John?
John Carradine.
John Carradine, David's different. Anyways,
You do not want a floating head of David Carradine.
I won't get into the joke that just popped into my head for that one.
Nope. Moving on.
Yes,
Moving
quick.
on.
Check out our merch at TeePublic or Dashery. Links are in the show notes and on our site. You'll be helping us out and supporting some awesome independent artists at the same time.
I think I feel like I need to make a shirt with a floating head of John Carradine and a big Wizard of Mars logo or something on it.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, look for that in the store real soon. That's going to do it for this episode. We're not going to stop time for you anymore. Thanks again for listening, and we will catch you all next time. Bye.
See ya!